guys, it's Michaela and welcome back to my channel and welcome to another episode of my top 5 series. I decided to split up my eyeshadow palettes into 3 separate categories. I just did all of my top 5 full-size eyeshadow palettes. Now I am doing my top 5 mini eyeshadow palettes, and then I'm going to end the entire series with my top 5 discontinued eyeshadow palettes that I wish would come back to the market. Well, let's go ahead and start in with my Pat McGrath Labs Divine Rose Mini Palette. This was my first introduction ever to Pat McGrath, and I love her shadows. They glide on so beautifully. They glide on like, it's beautiful. They blend themselves out. I put this look together just using all 4 of these shades. It's a very simple, easy go-to kind of look, and it just looks stunning and effortless on my eyes, and I absolutely love it. Definitely want to try more from her. Next, we've got one of my more colorful eyeshadow palettes in this collection, and it is the Nabla Cutie palette in the shade Midnight. I got this during Ulta 21 Days of Beauty sale at one point, and I have to say I love it. I love this shade here. I absolutely adore this shade here is really beautiful for deepening up the look. You've got a pop of gold which neutralizes the look a little bit. This shade here is a very blue, like duochrome shift, and then this shade here is just stunning. Again, I love this palette. I want to try more from the Cutie line, and I can't get enough of this formula. And again, just the color story, like the blues, I know they're a little harder to formulate, but Nabla did a great job with this eyeshadow palette, and this was my first introduction to Nabla as well, so I can't wait to get some more of these. Hopefully they're in the 21 Days of Beauty sales this year. After that, we've got a Charlotte Tilbury palette. This is their Vintage Vamp Quad. I can never figure out the naming on these, but I don't know what they're called. Is it just me, or are Charlotte Tilbury products really hard to find the name on the packaging? Like, I know what they are, I just can never find the name. But anyway, the color story is Vintage Vamp, and it is so pretty, so stunning. I love wearing this shade all over the lid. I love this shade for just popping in the center of my lid, and then this shade here is good for the crease shade, and then I can deepen it out with this. I mean, that's just how I typically wear a quad, but there are so many variations you can do. And again, I really want to try more from this particular line. I want to try more from Charlotte Tilbury in general. I've tried a couple things and I've loved everything, so I want to try more of her quads. And the last 2 eyeshadow palettes, they're formulas mostly that I'm looking at, and I decided that it was okay because these were minis. I didn't let myself do that when I did the full-size eyeshadow palettes, but because these are minis, like, I made the exception. Now, I didn't pick out every single mini. I just picked out the ones that stood out to me the most. So the first set of minis are the E.L.F. bite-size eyeshadow palettes. Now, these, I wouldn't recommend every single bite-size quad, but I would recommend a lot of them, and for the price point, they're really good. Are they $3 or $4 now? I don't remember. I'll have to look it up. But the 3 that I picked out are the shade Truffels. This go-to travel palette when I'm going somewhere, or just have an event that I go to. Maybe it's overnight, maybe it's a weekend, but every time I travel, this is what I take with me because it's so easy to get your crease shade, your definer shade, something to smoke it out, and then just pop this all over the lid. I absolutely love this one. And then I also have the 2 from the Mint Melt collection. I've got Chocolate Mint and Mint to Be. And again, I love this one because it's got the pop of green for color, but then you can just get an all neutral look. And then this here, I feel like if it didn't have this deeper green shade, I wouldn't like the eyeshadow palette as much, but this deeper green shade really pulls the look together because I love how I can get a transition shade, something to really like. I really love a shade that defines the outer corner, and then I've got a couple of shades I can wear all over the lid. Again, I think it's beautiful. I think that it creates a green look, and I feel like this creates a very wearable kind of green look. With St. Patrick's Day right around the corner, I'll probably go ahead and pull this out, but it creates a very like cohesive, like, not like, I feel like sometimes with pastel style palettes you can get like a very 80s style look, and it makes you look very washed out and just not cute. But with something like this where you've got, like, it's a green, but it's deep enough to define the eye, and that for me really allows the look to pull together, and it's very wearable here. Just one of those like wearable, it's colorful, it's fun, but it doesn't look bad. It looks really, really good. And then the last set of mini eyeshadow palettes are all from Natasha Denona. If you watched my last video, Natasha Denona was the formula that I love absolutely most in my collection. I have the most eyeshadow palettes from her, so my top 3 of my 5 eyeshadow palettes were Natasha Denona, and I couldn't just pick one. Now, I didn't pick out all of my mini Natasha Denona palettes. I just picked out like the 3 that really stood out for me, and that is the Mini Star palette. Again, very neutrals and very like, this shade here is very unique. I feel like this color story, like it's hard to kind of look at the eyeshadow palette and find a cohesive look until you start swatching, because you just don't know how the tones are going to pull until they're like really on the eyes. But once it's on, I love this eyeshadow palette. I think it's beautiful. Again, it's one of those great like go-to kind of mini palettes. I love 5-pan palettes just because I feel like you can get a complete look, but you still have variety. Then we've got the Mini Gold palette. Again, the earth tones, the green tones, I think they're so beautiful, especially as we're going into spring. And again, very neutral, very wearable, but still kind of colorful. Love the gold in here. I love the little deeper shade. And then you're just like, your pops of green, and then you've got a perfect transition color. I would highly recommend this one. And then this last one was the newest one to my collection. I got this because I got the Retro Glam palette, and it is the Natasha Denona Mini Retro palette. I tried these out and I fell in love with these shades. I fell in love with the pinks, the gold undertones, the greens. I think it's the perfect palette. I love it, and I love that you can get a cohesive look. I would highly recommend it, and it's just gorgeous. Anyway, this is my top 5 mini eyeshadow palettes. Stay tuned, because the finale of my top 5 is going to be my top 5 discontinued eyeshadow palettes that I wish would bring back. If you are new here, hi, my name is Michaela, and I do videos focusing on beauty and lifestyle, and my goal on this platform is to share my love for beauty as well as my love for Jesus Christ as my Lord and Savior. So if that's what you're into, hit that subscribe button, and if not, but you want to stick around, I'd love to have you hit that subscribe button as well. And as always, I will also have my Instagram handle linked down below. And I will see you in the next one.